Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Triangle BNI. My name is Mike Manning, and each week on Triangle BNI, we give you a success story from the Triangle area in BNI. And if you're not familiar with BNI, Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization in the world. And our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle is middle part of North Carolina. It's Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. Have 29 chapters going strong, 6 core chapters trying to get to the size they need to be to launch as a full chapter and about 600 members in Triangle BNI. And we'd love for you to come visit a chapter. If you go to trianglebni.com, up in the upper right hand corner, there's a button that says find a chapter and click on that. And there's a drop down menu, and you can look for all the chapters we have Monday through Friday, morning and lunchtime. See which one fits near you, and please come visit. We know that you will meet some good people in the community. And one of them we have here this morning is Vinay Raman. He is the CEO of Caarmo Inc. Vinay, good to have you here today.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Mike.
So Vinay is in RD27. I like to refer to that as the Manchester United and New York Yankees of Triangle BNI chapters because it's the big bad daddy in town. But they are the big bad daddy for a reason. You guys are structured. You held people accountable, which is in small business, right? And you need to do that.
Absolutely. I had a soccer coach growing up who told me that practice doesn't make perfect. It's perfect practice that makes perfect. Right.
Nice. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that the chapter does really well. Is every time it goes off without a hitch. And I love it.
And you guys are sitting right about 45, 46 members,
Yeah, that's right.
give or take.
Yeah, that's right.
And you easily have what, a dozen visitors each week?
I think we would like to say every week we have a dozen visitors, but we're getting, probably into high single numbers, double digits. Yeah.
But it's every week, and that's the
Yeah,
beauty of it.
that's right.
And
That's right.
word gets out in BNI like, oh, you need to go visit Bull City. Oh, sorry, by the way, they meet Thursday mornings at 11:30 at Cafe Perazat in Durham. That would help everybody listening. But the beauty of that is word truly does get around to people who are wanting to get into BNI, but it can be a shock to some people walking into your chapter.
Yeah, I will tell you. I mean, I've invited people out, and they've said overwhelming is a word that
Yeah.
they talked about, and it can be. And I'd encourage you, whether you come to our chapter or to another one,
Mhm.
go and seek someone out and ask them to walk you through it. And I think it'll lessen that overwhelming sense.
Yep. We are here on the Monday. Sorry, I'm a week late. We're here in late April of 2019. How's business looking so far for you and for Caarmo Inc.?
Good, very strong. I'm really excited about what 2019 holds in store for us. Got
Yeah.
some good things to do this year.
Some of the plans have been hit already, and some are like, let me take a step back to the left.
That's right. Everything seems to slide to the right,
Yeah.
unlike the way you want them to, but things are still pointing up.
Kind of like your golf game. It goes to the right a little bit.
That's right.
I got, and you and I have had conversations before on things with small business and growing and advice from previous bosses and stuff like that. And one, in the reason, what got me back to Raleigh was I took over the AMF Bowling Center in Durham and had a blast. Love the bowlers. Good storytellers, especially the old guys. And the regional VP, we had a group about once a quarter, we'd get together in our region for updates and learning and everything, which was pretty cool. And they brought in a marketing guy one time, and he's talking about your marketing plan. Said, okay, the ship leaves the port. Okay, and it's starting to list to the right a little bit, but first week or so, you don't really notice it. And after 3 weeks, if you're off course, you're like, oh, we need to we need to recalculate everything. Doesn't take you long to get back on course, but you do that for 5 months. And man, you're way off course on that. And I know you've met people and worked with people that have talked about plans and the importance of staying on those.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I come from a computer background. In a computer background, we used to develop around what is called a waterfall methodology, as in, here's my project. Let me run for 9 months and build this thing out. At the end of 9 months, I reassess. What is kind of the buzzword, and a lot of people have been doing in the software industry for a long time, is what they call agile. And the idea is every week, every 2 weeks, depending on how you set up what they call the sprint, uh,
Okay.
is how fast do you keep reassessing. So the idea is you keep having this overarching goal, but you keep tuning and tweaking so you get better faster and quicker, and you reach the final destination better.
And the way you operate, you're talking to people in many different places, not just in the triangle. So a lot of those things have to be replicated in town and out of town, which can present challenges if you're not around. But once you do get everything in order, that thing can replicate pretty quick and pretty easy, can it?
Yeah, this is another good thing about having worked in software, having been a software engineer for a fair part of my life, was the idea that you're always thinking about scale, right?
Mhm.
What
Yep,
happens next, right?
yep,
And I've worked for the Department of Defense, and when we worked for, we deployed systems. We weren't talking about 50 people. We weren't talking about 500. We were talking about 50,000.
yeah,
So what works at 500 or 50 doesn't work for 50,000. So you're always kind of thinking, what's next,
yep,
and what are those hurdles you're going to hit?
yep. Caarmo Inc. If you have a fleet of vehicles, you will want to get in touch with Vinay because it makes your life easier. They eliminate basically, you eliminate vehicle downtime. You have GPS systems on their fleet of vehicles will tell them a multitude of information.
Yeah, that's right. So the way I tell people is we automate vehicle maintenance to eliminate vehicle downtime. So everybody's got GPS and everyone has that on their phones or may have it in their vehicle. But really, the problem for fleets and small businesses, the idea that they need to be able to run all the time. We call it uptime. Right? You want to have uptime. You want to be able to service your customers, and you want to have that financial stability. Carmo is all about making sure that you always know ahead of time what's happening with your vehicle. We give you real time vehicle health, so your business never stops. That's the idea.
In most small business owners that need cars and trucks to do what they need to do, deliver, ship, anything like that, know when a truck is down for a day, what the dollar amount that's worth, or could turn into 2 days, and then you got issues.
Yeah, so market stats that I've heard are for a vehicle going down is anywhere between $448 to $760 per day,
Yeah.
right? And that doesn't include all the customers that you may have lost or ticked off
Mhm. Yeah.
during the course of the day because you didn't show up. And that customer service, that follows through. Is they tell their neighbor, "Hey, don't use these guys; they don't show up."
Mhm.
It was just an honest mistake, right? But you can't let that happen. You can't leave that to chance, and that's kind of what we do. Don't leave that to chance. Service your customers all the time.
Yeah, so these local air conditioning
Mhm,
companies and electricians and all that aren't aren't a solopreneur.
mhm.
So everybody's watching the show here. You've seen these trucks going around town. I'm not gonna name any names because that's not the point of this. But there's a dollar value assigned to each truck.
Mhm.
So they know each day this truck must provide 1,300, 1,900, 3,000, whatever it is. So that's the value that you bring to customers is we can let you know when something's about to happen as easy as we're needing an oil change, air pressure and stuff like that. So you start looking at $2,000 a day on a truck. I don't care how big your company is, that's gonna add up.
So I'll throw another stat out just because I
You love those,
always
don't you?
I'm always looking at the sort of how the numbers work as well,
Yeah.
right?
But
Uh,
sometimes you need that.
yeah,
Yeah.
just to give you sort of an understanding how
Mhm.
people's pains manifested, right?
Yep.
The average number is of vehicles down 4 to 8 days a year. And if you look at $1,500 to $2,000 a day, that's a good chunk of change,
Oh,
right?
yes.
If I
Yep.
could help somebody make another 12 grand that year on that same vehicle,
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty good story, right?
Oh, yeah, but it causes other problems
Yeah.
too. The truck is down. You've got 3 guys on a truck. What do you do with those 3 guys? You gonna send them home and pay them?
I mean, if you're a landscaping company and you've got
Oh,
5 trucks running around with lawnmowers, right? And one goes down, you've got to figure out how to do that other sixth of business that
yeah,
day,
yeah.
right? And that's a non trivial problem.
Well, and going back to the solopreneur, that's a huge problem. I mean,
Yeah,
that's your life right there.
that's right.
And
That's
for
right.
them to and again, it's a simple let me back up. It's simple up here, but let me say that. But it just starts with the GPS and getting that information to be able to relay to your company.
Yeah, that's right. So the GPS is sort of like the real foundational piece. The real, what I'll call the secret sauce kind of stuff
Yep,
is where we plug in to that diagnostic port in a vehicle, just like any mechanic does. All 156,000 shops that are in the United States.
yep.
We plug in that port, but we've got a cell phone chip in there that tells you in real time what's happening to the health of that vehicle. The good thing about that is you as a shop owner, that fleet owner can be sitting in the barber's chair getting a haircut. Ding, you get a little message in your phone saying, "Hey, truck 17 needs some attention, or truck number one needs attention." Well, I can do something about that. I can react to that before it becomes a bigger problem. And just having that awareness, nobody likes to be caught off guard. No more surprises. It's kind of the idea.
Yeah, because you're right, that money will add up whether you're 1 or 10 people, so
That's right. And the
uh,
reputation, right?
oh, yeah, yeah,
Right.
because all of a sudden because usually some people are starting to use the doorbell, the ring, where your doorbell, so, "Hey, I know you're coming to my house at 11 o'clock to look at my AC. Call me." and when you're there, and I'll unlock the door for
Mhm.
you. But for the people that don't have that, so now I've got to take time off from work. I got to be at home at 11 o'clock, work, wait for however long, and I'm sitting there 12 o'clock waiting on your people. It's like, okay, all right,
Yeah,
you had your chance. Or
that's
more
right.
importantly, if you don't call me and tell me, hey, we've got a problem, can we reschedule?
Well
Okay, maybe, but
well, if I could, dig back, one more layer here, I think part of the challenge also is for any business owner, they're trying to get everybody in their company to believe that company is as much their baby as it is theirs, right? They may have been doing plumbing for the last 15 years, and they finally got a good solid crew, a good solid company running. But the guy who drives that truck may not treat that truck as importantly as you might. And this just kind of gives you some insight into it so that you can keep running that business exactly the way you want and bring that person along with you, right? So the whole culture sort of shifts. That's the idea.
and especially if they treat it as their truck
Yeah.
instead of a rental car, which we've all done on
That's right.
holidays, right? So, but that's good.
Yeah.
So if you've never been to a BNI chapter, again, we'd wish you would go visit, just see how that BNI chapter can help you or someone you know start a business or grow a business. And each week in a chapter, there's a featured speaker. And depending on the size of the chapter, it's either 5 or 10 minutes. I'm assuming you're 2 6s, right?
We're two sixes. That's right.
Okay, right. So each week in Vinay's chapter, there's two people that get 6 minutes to talk about what they do. And each week, the member is introduced with our member bio sheet, and so that's how we do it here,
Mhm.
and so that's what we're gonna do today. Our speaker, Vinay Raman, is the CEO of Caarmo Inc. Profession, if you had to put it in a category, it would be what?
Technology entrepreneur, probably the
Okay.
best
Mhm.
umbrella.
And location and years in business.
So this company's been around for we're coming up on 6 years,
Okay.
but I've been in the technology entrepreneur for probably about 22 years now.
Right. Does it matter where you're based in the triangle?
It doesn't.
Okay, cool. Previous types of jobs.
Mhm.
Now, before you get going on this, all right, I tell people every week, I know what you've done since college. I've seen all the jobs. I don't want those jobs. I want that memorable high school or after high school job that was either so good or it lasted 6 hours.
First one was when I was 16 working at a Kmart
Where?
in Virginia Beach where I grew up.
Okay.
Got a job. I think I was making 5.15 an hour.
Oh, you're loaded, weren't you?
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, $160 a week, and I thought I had all kinds of cash.
We all do.
I spent it all on amps and for my car and stereo stuff, which so I blew it all away.
Yeah. Yeah.
But working at the Kmart, working for a guy who kept telling me, "Hey, this is the way things have always been done. You need to keep doing that." And I kept scratching my head. It was about, I think it was about diapers that I told him, I was like, we should put them on the end cap on Fridays because everyone comes in the door and buys diapers. He's like, no, put them in the middle of the aisle because that's where everyone goes to get the Huggies. And I kind of started to scratch my head. I was like, I don't know that this is really what I'm cut out for here. There might be a better way to build a mousetrap here.
How long did you last there?
I think I was there for about 2.5 months and I just couldn't,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
couldn't take it anymore.
So that mind was working starting then, right? Of no, I think it'd be yeah.
I must have been painful for my parents because they were always like, so just sit down and do your homework and
Yeah.
you'll get better in, school and college and life. And I was like, let me see if I can just put my head down on my paper here and see if I can just by osmosis, just kind of figure out what my calculus homework is.
My youngest son, I guess he was about 4 or 5, as he started the why. We went like 6 months of why, daddy, why? Just sometimes you truly do want to explain it to them because you want to be that good dad. You want them to learn something. And every now and then, just do it. Just like the guy in Walmart.
Yeah.
Family section. Tell us about your family.
So I've got 3 kids, 9, 8, and 5, boy, girl, boy. I've got a wife who's probably, well, I guess it's gonna be public. So I'm saying this publicly, but she's probably a lot smarter than I'll ever be. But anyone who sees
And
this,
you felt
don't
that
don't ever admit that I said that, even though there's a video here.
you felt the need to tell us who know you that. I like that. It's gutsy, confident and gutsy. I like that about you. I always ask people, how did you and your wife meet? And do you both tell the story the same way?
It's a funny question. Um, we met online actually, because
Pretty common these days, yeah.
had run my circuit sort of in the DC area, I guess,
Run your
and
game. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and I need to expand the horizons and the boundaries, and I found this beautiful woman online that was she was at University of Virginia,
Mhm.
and I was in the DC metro area, and she'd never heard of me before, so that worked out really well for me.
Nice. I like that. So you start talking online. When did you first meet face to face? Or how long and when and where did you guys meet?
Well, I mean, I think she had to put me. I don't know if I can. She had to put me through a BS test a little bit
Yeah.
to
Oh
see
yeah.
if I
Yeah.
was, I was real.
Smart woman. Yeah.
That's right. And after a little while, she realized that I was legitimate. So I think it was probably about a good 2 to 3 months in.
Okay. All right.
After that,
Where was the first date?
I think I went out to meet her. Oh, it was in Old Town Alexandria.
Ooh.
I took her. I actually happen to have an office right around the corner from a restaurant that I liked going to. So we went to a restaurant there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how long after that did you two get married?
Well, 3 months in, after knowing her, I professed my dying love, never dying love for her, and I
Yes.
said, "Hey, you're the one." And her
Nice.
question of me is like, "How do you know?" And I was like, so over the course of the next 4 years, I kind of did a flank attack, and I got all of her friends to love me. So she really had no choice.
Yeah.
And every time they saw her, they're like, "So what's happening with Vinay?" She was like, "Gosh, I'm hearing Vinay from everyone, right?" So she really didn't have a choice.
Nice.
That's right. Though her recount might be slightly more realistic, but so 4 years later, we ended up
Okay.
getting married.
Very
So
cool. Now the 3 kids, who's more like who? Because as you get older, at least my brother and my sister and I, when we get together, we laugh. Yeah, I got this from mom, this from dad, or thanks dad for giving me this, or thanks why dad did you not like I'm not a car guy. I can change the oil. After that, it's like thanks for the help, dad. Can't fix a car.
my son, I think takes after me. Everything mechanical, you ask him about the specific output of the 1999 Corvette, he will tell you what the
Okay.
horsepower and torque rating is. My daughter, so he's very mechanically minded. My daughter is very much more she's a people person.
Okay.
She understands people, and my youngest is just, gosh, I don't know how he just has this innate ability for comic relief. So I don't know where he gets that from. She's got this great sense there.
So what does your wife do?
She runs a biomedical device company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so instead of getting a pacemaker or something like that, which is a really
I have one myself. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
or getting a new heart or artificial heart, she makes a 1 inch incision here in terms of the company, uh, and they slide a balloon pump into your subclavian artery,
Okay.
and you're done. That's it. It's 45
Wow.
minutes later, you're up and walking in 3 days. Yeah, you're back home in 3 days.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Huh?
Yeah,
So the kids have technology come from both sides.
yeah, that's
Okay.
right. Yeah,
Right.
she's a PhD in biomedical engineering. Smarter than I'll
Wait,
ever
yeah.
be. Right?
No, wait, hang on a sec. Point of order here. We'll say she has more letters after her name. I'm on your side today, okay? So we'll say
I've got that BS title behind my behind that.
be a PhD. Yeah, I think it's close. Well, yeah, okay. I like that. Your hobbies and activities of interest.
So, part of what got me started on Caarmo is I love racing cars. And I was spending too much money at the mechanic at the racetrack because you wear out your cars pretty
Oh, yeah.
fast.
Yep.
So I was an adrenaline junkie growing up. So, sports, soccer, rock climbing, all kinds of stuff, extreme downhill mountain biking. Got hurt a number of times. I was like, I need to find something safer. So I got the four walls of a car around me. That's a lot safer.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what I've started doing.
I believe you're wired more like my wife and my oldest son. If the roller coaster's not going backwards, upside down, and in the dark, why ride it? And my youngest son and I just stand on the ground and waving up to him. Just, you go on with it, right?
Yeah, but what's funny, but I find my greatest focus when I'm doing those things. The world around me kind of just shuts off.
Yeah.
I'm so focused in what I do, and I think that's why I love it.
That does make sense. That's your break from reality
Yeah,
for 10 minutes, 2 hours, however long it is.
that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Then there's gotta be I won't call it a bucket list because 'cause you're young, but there's gotta be a list of to-dos, right? That you haven't been to or done yet?
Yeah. Well, a lot of it revolves around going faster. So vehicles, race cars, things like that. But I also am a kind of a student of the world. I love traveling.
Yep.
There's just not enough time to travel and see other peoples and cultures and just assimilate it all.
But if more people went to Caarmo to sign up, that could happen. So please go to Caarmo Inc.
Yes, that'd be great.
Caarmo.com and sign up with Vinay. One of the many reasons to do that, but he will take care of your fleet, that's for sure. City of residence for how long?
Born and brought up in Virginia Beach,
Okay.
then moved to Richmond for school. Went to VCU.
Mhm.
Go
Yeah.
Rams. And then was in DC for 22 years.
And you
Uh,
went to American as well.
that's right. I did my master's in
Okay.
artificial intelligence there at American.
Does your wife remind you that she has 3 degrees and you just have 2? I would.
She doesn't need to.
She she knows you know it, and that's all
That's
she
right.
needs. Because if I had more than 1 degree, I'd tell her, "Oh, you only have 1? Well, sit down."
As my dad says with degrees, then you can't buy a cup of coffee with a piece of paper. So
Exactly,
what are you
yeah,
going to do with
yeah.
it?
Back in 50 cents will get you
Get
on the bus.
exactly, yeah, yeah. You your burning desire is to what?
Help others. I love seeing. I love enabling others. When I see other people kind of just have this aha moment. Oh, I can go 15,
It's
15 miles an hour faster, or
that's the
what
best,
in
isn't
what their
it?
life is.
Yep,
I get a kick out of that.
yep. No, good for you. The key to your success.
I'm dumb. I keep trying until I figure out how to do
Okay,
it.
alright.
I just keep banging my head against a wall. So dumb persistence, I guess.
Well, you and I had a conversation a couple weeks ago, and I would rather hear from somebody who has lost everything and then rebuilt what they started with by 10 or 20 times than somebody walking in, "Oh, yeah, I've never done." If a small businessman tells you they've never lost anything or made a bad decision, just run. 'Cause if there may be one somewhere, but you gotta have scars.
Someone told me that your most successful business is your 10th company. I'm on number 6. So
All right, I'm on
I got a
okay.
couple more,
I'm on
right?
5, okay. Alright. Oh, but is your 10th company?
Yeah, that's what they told me.
Never heard that.
Yeah, and
Okay.
you've kind of learned enough lessons to kind of start streamlining your steps forward, I guess is the way I think of it.
Alright, I'm doing some quick math. I'm 57. I better hurry up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Gotta start 2 by June, just to start catching up. So, and here's the one thing I like asking you, and you know this in BNI, and there's many people who haven't gotten to know you yet, but they will by the end of the hour. Something no one knows about you. And if there's a
Ooh,
sword to fall on to tell a good story, now would be the time because these are generally the good stories. And I asked go back. Okay, good.
I got one.
Okay.
I'm actually my wife will laugh at this. I've gone through and done a number of these personality tests and trying to figure out kind of who I am. I'm the closest thing you can get to an introvert as an extrovert possible, which my wife cracked up the first time I told her that. But I went through a Myers-Briggs type indicator test, and that's basically what it told me. It says you're right on the line of being an introvert, and I don't think anyone would ever guess that about me. They're like, "Hey, you're this outgoing guy who's always talking to people." Yeah, actually, I'm not.
And we've heard that last week we had Trinity Gregor on, who's one of the realtors in town with Hunter Rowe. And she said the same thing that standing up in front of people just scares her, yet she's one of the most outgoing, pleasant, welcoming people you will meet. And I think a lot of that goes to walking in a room, and me too. Done with you. I'll talk all day long to anybody. But you're walking into a room and you don't know anybody. Quiet time for a while till somebody comes up to you. But there's a lot of people that when they really look at it, they are probably, and then there's some people that we just don't believe that. I don't care what the test is.
I'll tell you what kind of. So you asked me sort of something that they haven't figured out about me already. My curiosity. If curiosity killed the cat, gosh, I'm gonna get killed pretty
Yeah.
soon. My curiosity. So when I walk into rooms, yeah, I do have that kind of those butterflies in the stomach. First thing is I'm always just kind of curious. What does everyone do? I mean, not necessarily as a profession, but who are they and kind of what makes the clock tick? And that often gets me past it pretty quickly. Is just asking them, and that starts a fantastic conversation. I would say, 99 out of 100 times. It's fun learning about others.
It is, and that's the nice segue into my next question here regarding BNI is that's really what you want to know about somebody so you can refer them. Because we work on referrals and not leads instead of saying, "Hey, my neighbor hates cutting his grass," but then your neighbor tells you, "Hey, do you know anybody that cuts grass? Because I do hate it. I want to do that." And you're only going to send the people that you trust with no like and trust in BNI. So a lot of that same thing is what's the makeup? And I'll get to the company and the
Yep.
reputation of the company, but are you late? Are you early? Are you all that stuff? So,
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. I got to tell you, I went to want to say about 18 different BNI chapters over some period of time because I was trying to figure out which is the right fit for me. And Bull City was a good fit for me just because of the energy and the power and kind of the momentum within the group. The other thing is, I think there's just a this sense of authenticity that came across through the group, and that's what I absolutely love about it. So, gosh, it's a lot easier to trust someone when you can feel that authenticity. I am a landscaper, and I love to do this. And let me tell you the story why. Because now you get a chance to see that backstory like, man, this guy has done everything. He's been a Eric McDuffie, who's in my BNI class. He loves doing lawn care just because he really loves the environment. Sheldon, who runs Garden Environments, he really wants. He says, "I don't want sustainable. Sustainable means keeping the status quo. I actually want the earth to flourish." He really believes this stuff. And you listen to that and you're like, gosh, hands down, I trust this guy. And that's the kind of people that I've met and the relationships that I've built at BNI. And that's what I love about it.
And you wake up every Thursday morning fired up about going to Cafe Parasite at 11:30 to meet with the same people and get to know them a little bit more and meet some new people.
I will tell you, I feel like it's an express train to
It
deep
is,
relationships.
very much so. And I always tell people when they are looking for a chapter, the first thing is you gotta wanna be around those people every week. And
Yeah.
my analogy is in high school for me was 5th period biology. Hated it because it was always well, A, it was biology, but second of all, it was right after lunch. And then third, the teacher back in the day, we had overhead projectors. There was nothing technology about 8th, 10th grade and. So then they turn the light off, and I'm like, "Oh, god," the head goes back. So it's like, if you don't wanna wake up that day and go meet those people, do not join that chapter.
Yeah.
But you're right, and we talk about this every week. It goes deep way deeper than business with the people you get to know and why your chapter is so successful.
This is going to sound terrible on the surface, right? It's
We welcome that here, yeah.
but I always tell people when I'm going in this situation, I've always got to say, so my mom used to tell me, she said, when you start a company, always pay yourself first. And I think there's a
Yes.
deeper meaning there, right? And so where I was going with this is I always try to think about what's in it for me, right? Because if I'm getting my itch scratched by getting something, gosh, then I have an interest in sort of scratching somebody else's itch, if you will. When I go to BNI, I've got a team of people who be more than happy to tell me what they think market conditions from a completely a different perspective than what I can see. The HVAC guy there be more than happy to say, "So Vinay, here's what I'm hearing about what you're saying and why my fellow HVAC guys aren't interested in what you're doing or are interested." Right? I get free market advice. I get a free advisory team. I get in a free advisory board. I get people who are constantly just saying, keeping me somewhat accountable to what I'm doing as a company. Hey, did you do what you were going to say? Not because they're trying to pin me down, but they're actually a party to my success. So
Yep.
I've got a party of people kind of trying to help me out.
Well, not only do we get referrals, but like you said, it's almost like a mastermind group.
Yeah.
Because you can try out, "Hey, I'm looking at this new market, looking at this new" all kinds of things you can run by them in the power teams, which is a smaller part of each chapter that gets together. Like all the real estate people get together, all the B2B people get together, the financial people get together, and it's just a smaller group where you can talk more in detail and just about that issue. But you can run ideas by them, and they're like, "Heard that, would be more interested in that," and or your HVAC guy is a perfect guy for you to talk to on why or why not he wants to know or doesn't want to know info on his truck.
Yeah. I mean, it's really BNI. I mean, as far as my own personality and kind of what we're trying to do with the company, it's about building this partnership, right? This alignment. So we work together as opposed to against, hey, I'm taking money from you. I actually want to learn from you so I can make it better. And BNI gives me this huge set of people that I can constantly get into alignment with. And I know that may sound a little loosey goosey, but gosh, I expected X, and it's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's 1 + 1 = 50. Right? It's an amplifier. It's what I love about it.
When was the first time you literally heard BNI?
I heard about BNI 6 years ago. A business partner at the time told me he was going to a BNI, and it's this structured networking, and you got to pay some dues, and you got to show up every day. And I was like,
Oh, he led with everything.
yeah. And I was like, I don't need that in my life. That's not what I need. But then I heard it a couple more times along the way from other business partners that we're working with currently. I was like, I gotta check this thing out. It seems like there's some currents here that make a hell of a lot of sense. And I haven't looked back ever since I joined.
Because that's where you and I met at a BNI meeting.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'm obviously a big fan. The name Caarmo,
Mhm.
where did it come from?
3 words. Car meaning automobile. Second word is karma, trying to follow that right path, trying to find that right path. The last one is HMO. We've built an HMO for cars. I mean, if you are an old guy like me, doctor says you got to come in every so often, get poked and prodded, one of these tests, and we're going to tell you, Vinay, stop eating all the red meat and drinking all this alcohol, or you're going to die in 5 years, or eat vegetables and kale and spinach and live for 25. Oh, all right. Well, that's what HMO is. And HMO does for people. Carmo does for vehicles and cars.
There's a lot more that goes to Caarmo than just that. I mean, you guys are a group of people with a wide array of backgrounds, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. But it's kind of this holistic approach to things, right? Trying to make it super simple for that fleet
Mm.
to, it's I always say it's number 7 on the priority list, taking care of those vehicles, even though it's number 1 in terms of making that vehicle
Ooh,
that business run. So how do you make it just sort of a checkbox item? Say, I did this, I did this, I did this. Everything is going to work the way it's supposed to, and that's what we're trying to engineer here. And what we have engineered here is that just everything, all the boxes get checked automatically. We call it automated vehicle maintenance.
And how did Caarmo come together? How did you guys come together? The idea? And
Yeah, it
everything?
was myself and 4 other guys in the basement. 2 guys race motorcycles, 3 guys, including myself, race cars. And we're like, how do I get around that turn faster?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if the vehicle's not operating properly and we don't know it, right? We're not going to get around that turn any faster, right?
Mhm.
We're not going to make a better lap time. And we just kind of started thinking about it, all technology guys, most of us. And we're like, there's got to be a better mousetrap here. And we figured partnering with the maintenance and repair shops, the people who are the experts, the
Yeah.
doctors, right? How do we draw that knowledge into somebody who wants that knowledge to run their business better?
Yeah.
Right? So it builds a partnership there.
Is there a common denominator of issues that fleet vehicles have?
No, but I'm gonna kind of let the secret that's not a secret out of the bag here, the cat out of the bag here, and that is preventative maintenance is the answer, right?
Yeah.
Look, if you do your exercise every day as a human, right, you're gonna live another 20 years. I don't think we got to convince anybody of that, right?
No. No.
Same thing with your vehicles,
Yep.
right?
And this is the thing that drives me nuts about insurance companies. I'm not going to get on a platform here, but why wouldn't they pay for preventative maintenance instead of the rehab?
I'm working on
Okay, good.
it.
It never made sense. Well, they make money off of it, so there's the sense in that. But if they paid for preventative maintenance from the time we were picking age until when we die, instead of waiting for me to come in at the age of 57, I have no idea what led to me getting a pacemaker. Other than my heart stopped for 18 seconds laying on the den floor in my house one day. But again, with the cars, it's the same thing. As soon as you come off the lot, there should be a plan from day one instead of I'll call you. So I need to come back when it's 2,500 miles to change my oil. And then they come back, it's 3750. And well, then that moves that next clock down the road and the next one.
That's right. It's like sleep. You can never catch up on sleep, right? Once you lost it, it's gone, right?
Oh, I heard that for years we could. I'm going to go catch up on some sleep. I'll see you tomorrow. So, okay.
No, once you miss that day is gone, right?
Yes.
We're actually working with some insurance companies right now, some major insurance companies to start giving. One has told us that they can give as much as a 45 or 50% discount on vehicle insurance because of using Caarmo, right? And the reason why is because look, it's good for the insurance company when there's less claims,
Yeah.
right? Because you can be a fantastic driver, but you got no brakes on the vehicle, doesn't matter. You're not stopping.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
we're,
yeah.
we're putting all that stuff in place so we're starting some pilot programs with those.
What is the reaction to the non-automotive people, like the insurance people, the tire companies, whoever, to this idea? Are they liking what you guys are providing?
They're kind of scratching their head saying,
Really?
"Oh yeah, that kind of makes some sense." And that's kind of sort of the challenge for us as Carmo is kind of telling people, "Hey, there's a way that we can all win here, right?" It's taken some time to engineer, but as soon as just before coming here, I met with a shop, and he said, "I don't really quite understand what you do." I said, "Look, I'm trying to make sure that you service your customers and they love you." And I kind of walked him through the whole process, and he was like, "That makes sense."
Because he looks like the hero to his customers. Not only is their car gonna run longer, but he's gonna save them money.
That's right.
Oh,
The stat we've thrown out there, the biggest stat I can throw out there is we think we can save people in SUVs, for example, as a class of vehicle, as much as 66% a year on vehicle maintenance. That's a big number.
Is this for an individual's vehicle as well, or it's all business and fleets?
So for right now, we've been focusing on businesses. We started with consumers actually.
Okay.
We've got a major partnership. I'm going to knock on wood here that'll come through here shortly, which
Cool.
might give us the capability of going through consumers across the United States.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the idea, that's where it really initially started, was the idea that, so I had a fantastic fact once
Break
that
these backs all the
was
time.
was that women tend to get charged 15 to 20% more than men at the
Oh,
repair
yeah.
shop,
Yeah.
right?
That's
Unless they ask one question. And every woman asks me, like, what's that one question? It doesn't matter, right? But if you have something that tells
Oh.
you a little bit about what's happening, it's a much higher level of conversation. Everybody is getting where they want faster, right? And that's all we're trying to do, is try to have that higher level
Yeah.
conversation.
In the personal vehicles,
Mhm.
once you get into that changes everything. And I always find a shameless plug way to get my grandson Oliver into the show, and he turned 9 months yesterday, and he's doing very well. And he says hi to
Cute kid.
everybody. Now as a grandpa, but just even as an adult or as a parent, I'm looking, okay, we're talking safety now, because I want to know.
Yeah.
I know how much air is supposed to go in my tire. What they tell me, I read in the book and make sure when I stop and put air in it, but I can't tell when it's running low. I'm assuming the car will list a little bit because I know nothing about cars. I can turn them on, turn them off. But as a parent, I'd want to know that.
Yeah. So my co-founder up in Northern Virginia, he's got 3 daughters, and that was a source of angst for him.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of where they are, what they're doing, is everything safe?
Yeah.
Because as they went away to college, and he gave them a car, and it wasn't the first. It wasn't a brand new car. It was
New.
yeah, it was a little more used, right?
I know mine
Uh,
was.
so he just wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
everything was okay with it, right? And this kind of gave him some peace of mind. So from a personal point of view, even though we're trying to build this for
Yeah.
fleets, there's an application on a personal side. For
Well,
sure.
and kids going off to college, I haven't even gotten that far yet. I'm just thinking, when I'm driving around my 6-year-old and 3-year-old, I'd like to at least know that. Or my wife's driving, our
That's
2
right.
boys around. So that's pretty cool. I like that. And again, it's just you're getting ahead of the curve,
That's right.
right?
Just, I mean, I tell people, very few people actually spend a lot of time at the bank anymore, right?
Yeah.
And they get their bank balances through their smartphone, and it tells them,
Mhm.
hey, you just dropped below $2,000. You need to transfer that money, and click, click, and it's done, right?
Yeah.
And that's how easy it is. I mean, who would want to spend 45 minutes at the bank these days?
Yeah.
Nobody.
But so if you're thinking, all right, so if you're a fleet manager,
Mhm.
so let's talk business side for right now. So if you're a fleet manager and you've got 4 vehicles,
Mhm.
you could extend the life of that vehicle a year and a half.
Gosh, I wish I had hard numbers around that, because then I would have a,
But even if it's a year, let's
yeah.
just go on a year, okay? So now that fleet manager has saved a payment for a new car
Yeah.
or vehicle
Yeah.
for a year. That vehicle saved another year. So now we're talking 2 years they've saved on buying a new vehicle with cash.
So there's a couple of dimensions to it, right? Look, if they have 4 more days of revenue that year and they make $1,500, right? That's $6,000 more.
Oh,
First of
yeah.
all, right?
Yeah.
At $500 a month, it's another vehicle, right?
Yeah.
So you get more revenue, right? You pay less on maintenance if we cut it in even a third, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money you saved. But you're right. If we take that vehicle and extend it from 5 years and extend it to 7 years,
Yeah.
well, that's huge, right? But then also think about the depreciation on the vehicle, right? Which is
Mhm.
another large component of that. You've got this depreciating asset, and if you
Hadn't
can,
thought about that.
and
Yeah.
if you keep it, it's a $55,000 vehicle depreciated over 5 years as opposed to 7 years. That's a big difference in annual amount
Yeah.
that you can depreciate on the vehicle. So, look, I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, the device doesn't cost that much. They're already paying for it with the GPS service, right? Just
Oh,
use
yeah.
ours. We give
Yeah.
them GPS for free. I might be able to save you. I mean, in terms of all the soft and hard costs together,
Yeah.
$4,000 or $5,000 a year. I think we like to think it's a no-brainer, but hopefully everyone else starts to see that too.
We're here with Vinay Raman, CEO of Caarmo Inc. He is in RD27, which is both city business leaders BNI meeting. They meet Thursdays at 11:30 a.m. at Cafe Parazon in Durham. So if you are in the Durham area and you or someone else is starting a business or wants to grow a business, plenty of people there to help you. And any of our BNI chapters, just go visit and see what they're like, see what you could get out of it, see how you could help. We'd love for you to go visit. You can go to trianglebni.com. In the upper right-hand corner, there's a Find a Chapter button. Just click on that, and it'll list all 29 chapters in the area. And look on each page about the chapters you find and you like. and go visit them because there's plenty of people want to help you on that. And we always talk about involved in the community as well with chapters. Now, I always like firsts on these shows. Okay, we've had Ricky was born in Germany. Joe was the first guy to lose a paper route when he was 16. We got first all over the place. Yeah. So your first is, or I'm taking off the information you have listed in social media. Okay, says you are says you're trilingual. Can we
Uh,
go with that?
sure.
And we'll go loosely. I'm fine
Yeah,
loosely. All right.
loosely. Yeah,
Okay. I have no idea what Spanish is one. Yeah,
that's
okay,
right.
so obviously English is mostly good. Redneck, you need to work on that a little bit, okay? Or Southern, as we call it. Most of us Southerners are
I'm
bilingual.
starting to say y'all.
There you go. We speak Southern, we speak English, so at least you're bilingual right there. I can't even pronounce the other two.
So there's Kannada is one language.
But it's spelled Kannada.
Yeah, so Kannada and Tamil are the two
Okay.
other languages. So if you've heard of India, there's a city in India called
Small town.
Bangalore, right?
Yeah.
Bangalore is kind of where sort of the whole is kind of credited as where the whole IT kind of boom started in India.
Oh, really?
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
If you go to Bangalore, you'll see Dell, Microsoft. There's a whole one area that's every single major corporation you can ever think of in the technology space.
Wow.
There's a space there, right?
I thought Dell started in Austin, Texas. I had no idea.
They did, but they've got a gigantic building there in Bangalore. But
see what we learned today, I'm not.
But the two languages that are spoken in kind of somewhat natively in Bangalore are Kannada or Tamil, sort of two languages.
How'd you pick those up? Were you there?
No, I was born and brought up in Virginia, Norfolk area, Tidewater area.
Yep.
Just parents speaking, and there's lots of Indian families that we've met along the way that spoke either one of those two.
Okay.
So
Is that the most? God, it sounds stupid asking this question.
So maybe I'll
Save me here.
I'll throw you some
Save me here.
some more stats here, right? So I heard a stat once that there was 150 different recognized languages in India. There's a lot of them, right?
Wow.
The national language of India is Hindi,
Thank you.
right? I don't
That's where I
speak
was
Hindi.
going. Okay.
I don't speak a lick of it.
Who? Great. But two others that are down somewhere in
That's right.
Yeah, okay. But like you specialize. That's what we'll
That's
go
right.
into there. Who from your family came over to the States first and when?
My father did. I was in 1968. He
Okay.
got a scholarship to ODU, Old Dominion University in Norfolk.
I didn't know the Monarchs were big in India. So, but yeah.
He got a scholarship to come and study mechanical engineering.
Cool.
So
Okay.
he came here, and 2 years later, he said, "Hey, wife, I think you ought to hop over here too." So
Was he out of, or that was college program, but was he out of college by then? And
he was doing he did his master's
Okay.
in mechanical engineering. Yeah,
had he been looking to get to the States?
yeah.
Okay.
And I think he probably looked at a couple other places. I don't actually know the answer to that. I have a
Okay.
question to ask my dad now.
Right.
But
And you have brothers and sisters?
I have a younger brother. He's out in Seattle. He works for Amazon. Some other people may have heard of that one.
Yeah, a
that
couple,
company
yeah.
too.
I think they see the trucks driving by. Speaking of a fleet vehicle, there's your retirement plan right
That's
there.
right.
Now, were you a good big brother or a bad big brother? Because I was not a good big brother for a while.
I was a bad big brother until I figured out that he might be getting stronger than me soon.
And that's why I stopped being a bad big brother, because my brother laid me out one day and game over.
We were wrestling in the pool one day.
Yeah.
I was probably about 17. He was probably about, he's 5.5 years younger. So he was probably about 14 or so.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's 14, 18, something like
Okay.
that. And somehow he flipped me around, got behind me, put me in this bear hug, and then hoisted me above his head. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, the big brother
Yeah.
act has got to stop.
I came home from college one day because I'm about 2.5 years older than my brother. I was coming back from college one day, and we grew up right off Ivy Lane here in Raleigh. And you come through the carport utility room in the kitchen to walk into the den. And he was standing behind the wall, walking into the den. And I'm just happy go lucky, call it what you want, just walking through, never expecting this. And I got right past the wall there, and he just crushed my right shoulder with his right fist, and I just went sprawling right at the glass door. And that was over. I was 19, so that was 38 years ago, and he and I have been friends since, because he got tired of it one day, and he is still taller than me. So
Yeah, one part of that, the scary part of that, having that younger brother though, is I ask him for advice too. Sometimes, hey, what's your perspective on things? He knows me too well sometimes. And I was like, we need to turn some of that stuff off. You got to unremember some of those stories.
Oh yeah, or go, I don't remember it that way,
Yeah,
or
that's
just I
right.
don't remember it. So yeah. Who took the car that night? I don't know. I
That's
was on
right.
vacation. Yeah. So, oh yeah. We can talk family stories all day long. So, when was the last time you spoke either one of these languages?
Actually, this morning, my kids, my parents are trying to get the kids to speak Kannada.
Oh, cool.
So they were talking to them, and my kids are kind of looking at me for advice on how to speak. And my parents are so happy that I'm finally trying to get them to respond. So I was gonna give them this funny thing. So my parents and I are laughing, and I'm laughing. My kids are sitting going, I don't know
Yeah.
what's really happening here.
But we'll talk about it again
That's
tomorrow.
right.
Right? So your partners in Caarmo, you guys are not all in the triangle, right?
No, so I moved down to the Triangle about 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
And before I was up in the DC area, Northern Virginia.
It's expensive up there.
Oh
My
gosh.
brother-in-law, it's my wife's sister. Her husband's in the well, let's just say he has a job up that way. It is crowded and expensive.
So I call our neighborhood a garage door community. The door would open, the car would pull in, the garage door
Yeah.
closes, and that's how pretty much everyone was. And I couldn't stand it. That's what I love about here
And
down in
it
the Triangle.
snows. Ugh.
It does.
Yep.
It does. But that's what I love
And
about
you
here.
do promote the triangle. In fairness, we've not talked about it yet, but all over everything printed on why you're here talks about the business atmosphere of the triangle.
Yeah. So I do want to make a big bold disclaimer here. I love it down here. Nobody else come. We're getting too full.
No, bring your fleets. If
That's
you have
right.
12 or more car vehicles in your fleet, come on, bring
That's
your
right.
headquarters
But
down
don't make it
here.
any more busy down here. I love it the way it is right now.
Yeah. Except for on the belt line at 5 o'clock on a
That's right.
Friday. Yeah. Or it's Wednesday and snow's predicted on Friday, and
That's right.
everyone's on the road going to the liquor store or the grocery store.
Yeah, that's right. No, this is a great place. We're glad we moved down here.
But I mean, you got a lot of everything here to pick from, and more companies. I think we're talking to Trinity last week. It's like 60 people a day
Yeah,
are
it's some
moving in this
incredible
area.
stats. Yeah.
And the only way to grow right now is Holly Springs, Fuquay, and that way, and then Wake Forest and Rollsville and out that way. So maybe a bunch of companies will bring their vehicles down.
Yeah.
So what's kind of the next step for you guys as we're not even quite halfway through 2019? What are you guys learning and seeing now that you're talking to more people?
So we're definitely seeing that a lot of people are they're saying, yeah, this is a better way to run our company. So it's really kind of extending that partnership with them, right? And understanding for them. For example, we're talking to a company right now that says, hey, the big gigantic moving companies with 250 vehicles knows what their cost per mile is.
Really?
How do I figure that out, Vinay? I was like, that's great. I'm glad you asked me. Let's see if we can get a real time cost per mile calculator so that they can compare themselves to the big guys and operate just as efficiently or better.
And when you look, since we've met, gotten to know each other, and I've learned more about your company, it's not like you're selling them a device or a product and said, "Here, put one of these in your truck." And I mean, you're selling them a plan, like you just mentioned, how to help them meet that goal of, man, if I can get down to 72 cents a mile, just to pick
Yeah,
a number for
yeah,
the conversation, my profit, because if you've not owned a business, generally when you own a business and you're successful, you'll put more money back into the business because you want to grow it even more, hire more people, make whatever it is. And it's things like that. So say, hey, put this GPS in the truck, it'll do, you're helping them build that business.
yeah. No, that's right. Exactly. I mean, there's Annette Adamska, who is a coach for a lot of CEOs and stuff. Keeps using this word, staying in your genius zone, right?
Yeah.
You've been running this company. You're good at one thing, right? Let's get all the other stuff, all the other crap off your plate, right?
Mhm.
So you can be what you are because you are so efficient at that, right? That's what we're trying to do, right? I don't want to be in the way. I just want to be kind of helping you do one thing so that you can stay in your genius zone because what we do is trying to help you stay there. That's the idea.
Yeah, because if you look at the successful companies, even 5 to 10 people, they're successful because they've allowed you go to your strengths. If your strength is not talking in public, okay, let's talk to Bill about that. And if your strength is not accounting, okay, we'll talk to Susie about that. Your strength is this.
Yeah.
And to be able to put people in position to do that just from a business standpoint, man, that's gold right there.
So I'll mention another name, Tracy Phillips out of BNI, right? She is a coach for people in terms of trying to unlock themselves and become better, right? What she does for individuals, and I sit and talk with her, and gosh, I've learned 1,000 things from her already. What she does for people, we're trying to do for businesses, right? Help them. If you're stuck at 6 employees, you're stuck at 12 employees, 2 employees, right? And you're trying to figure out, hey, I've got these grand designs of being across the United States, across the triangle, whatever the case may be. Let's help unlock you,
Yeah.
right? Let's find the keys to get you there, right? That's the
Yep.
goal, right?
Oh, yeah. And of the 600 or so people in Triangle BNI, I believe you're the only one that does this. I don't believe,
I think so.
as far as I know. When you joined RD27,
Mhm.
what did now this was new to them because
Yeah.
like, wait, he does what? Wait, I know he told me that 3 times, but wait, just explain again. So once they got to understand what you're doing so they can refer you, what were you finding out? Who turned into some kind of first or natural referral partners?
Yeah, it's this is what has been the best part of BNI. I thought I would go in and I would go talk directly to the HVAC folks
Yeah.
and the plumbing folks, and that's what they would say. Hey, Vinay, I like what you do. Let me refer you to my buddy, right? And I'll get 4 or 5 connections out of that. Gosh, Randy Bernstein
Mhm.
is a promotional products runs a promotional products company, right?
Yep.
Gosh, Randy continues to connect me with people. I mean, I want to say like every week, 2 weeks. Thanks, Randy.
Yeah.
He has been an incredible force for me.
Well,
Uh,
that's one of the things I love about BNI is these referrals come from the darndest
yeah,
places. Yeah, and you
yeah,
don't see them coming, but it's Randy's connected.
yeah. And well, so what I love about it is I never expected it, but it kind of makes sense now, right? Once I kind of got into BNI and kind of started to rethink how to do things in terms of how to build referrals and referral relationships with people.
Mhm.
Once I started to understand those referral relationships and what they get out of it, what I get out of it, it's a real good relationship there. It's a deep relationship, and that's what makes it so wonderful and sort of that express train that I talked about. So Randy, I've connected him a bunch of people that I didn't know I had any utility for as a connection for him. He's like, that's the kind of people I'm looking for. Great, there's a good quid pro quo. You don't
Mhm.
have to do that. That's what works out really, really well.
And it does help in BNI if you're one of the few, like, pest control. I think there's 6 of us in BNI. So it's kinda nice we can go visit other chapters and, talk to people, see how we can help them out. People that listen to this show or hear your company name or anything like that, and they've got their company, they've got whatever fleet, 2, 5,
Mhm.
8, 10, 12, whatever. What's the first thing they're gonna see or notice or think, "Okay, I really should call them because X has happened."
You mean in terms of
Is it
BNI?
reactive or pro no, in general. Is it reactive or proactive for them to want to call you or need to call you that you've found with current clients?
Um, I will tell you if it's reactive, it can happen reactively, but it's usually the case that they had to be reactive to something some
Yes.
time ago, right? So if they've called a tow truck because they had something go down or they had to go get an oil change on a day when they could have been servicing a customer, it was a choice that they made, right? And they
Yep.
said,
Oh, yeah.
I had to make a choice here. It's usually when they start saying, "God, I hate having to be forced into making this choice here," right?
Yep.
That's usually when they end up saying, I got to call this guy because I need to get that under control.
Oh, and the tow truck having to call a tow truck is a sinking feeling, especially if it's at night.
Yeah.
8 o'clock at night is perfect time to really feel that bad because you're not gonna get any work done.
Yeah.
So you're gonna go overnight, then you wake up the next morning, it's like, "I gotta fix this," and yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think, I think it's just people who want to kind of get to their business or their life a little more
Yeah.
under control,
Yeah.
right? That's when they say, yeah, this is a way to have more positive control.
So you put the GPS in their vehicle,
Mhm.
and that goes to the data goes to the owner, goes to the fleet manager, goes to you. Where's it go?
Well, so GPS is just one component of it, right?
Mhm.
GPS is actually,
Because you have the chip in it.
yeah,
Yep,
right.
yep,
It's really about the vehicle diagnostics. The real
yep,
time vehicle diagnostics is the real value of it, right? So by monitoring the health of that vehicle, it tells the fleet manager or whoever owns that fleet, runs the fleet, it tells them in real time via a smartphone app. They just get a little smartphone app. It tells them, hey, truck 17 is feeling like this,
okay,
right? And here's what you need to do next. But it also tells the shop, right? Your shop, your preferred shop. If you don't have a shop,
oh,
we'll help you find one, right?
okay,
But that shop has got the right mentality, the right philosophy in terms of how they teach them. They're trying to educate you because they're going to tell you everything that's going to come up, right? So they're not trying to sell you on something. They're trying to tell you, here's what's going to happen next
yeah.
quarter, here's what's going to happen 2 years out. So they're not selling to you either, right? They're consulting with you and they're trying to help you find that right, that karma stuff that I was talking
Yep,
about, right?
there you go.
So it goes to both the shop and the fleet owner so that they know what they can do and when and what they need to do.
My guess is one of the every industry has myths, whether you want to acknowledge them or not. But my guess is somebody at some point in time has told you, "I just bought it. It's under warranty. It's fine. I'll call you in 6 months, 9 months, a year, whatever." And that's a bad a non-car guy, even I can tell you that's a bad mistake right there.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things that I have found is sort of a myth in the industry is people say, I've got all this computer information in my car. I've got his dashboard. It's got all these lights and sensors and entertainment and all this kind of stuff. And I call them expectation management machines, really more than sort of dashboards, because they really kind of, I won't pick any particular manufacturer, but they don't want to really tell you something until it gets to a point where it's going to break, right? You got to fix it now. And it seems like that always happens at 50,001 miles, right? Just after the warranty is about to run out. Well, guess what? That didn't just happen.
Yeah.
A bit didn't just flip and all of a sudden our switch didn't flip and it just went bad. It's been happening since 32,000 miles, right? And that's the idea here is start seeing that stuff beforehand so you can address it because it's a $400 repair as opposed to a $4,000 repair. Getting ahead of the curve.
Yeah, and I got lucky on that with my personal car because it's a 2014 Toyota, good car. No, I'm not knocking the car, just the product. What happened? The steering wheel started shaking. Like, okay, all right, it's alignment, tires, something like that. And so I finally, like everybody else, Monday, Wednesday, I'll get there, right? And I finally took it in, and they tell you that, which I knew one of the tires was starting to cut somewhere, somehow. And I ended up having to replace all four.
Yeah.
And it would have been nice to know if I had kids 2.5 months ago that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And they'd have taken the really bad tires that weren't shaking off and changed them instead of waiting for me to change them once the steering wheel was shaking.
Yeah, so that's exactly, that's a perfect story there, right? The idea here is not for people ever to be, for something like that, you knew it's coming.
Oh,
you don't have to make a choice, right? You don't have to do anything about it, but you at least know.
Could have literally driven the wheels off if I so choose.
That you're more than welcome to do that, right? But
Uh-oh.
the idea is we're giving you a choice where you can make a
Yeah.
decision as opposed to having to wait, and then you're kind of at the mercy of somebody else, right?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, most shops, most of the technicians in the shops, they're good people, right? They want to do the right thing.
Oh, yeah.
But usually people come to them in sort of in a stress situation. Hey, I got to get this vehicle back on the road because I've got a customer waiting. And they're like, I got 10 other people waiting for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I just said that to the shop owner I just talked to before this. And he's like, yeah, that happens to me all the time, right? They've got something wrong that happens to their diesel truck that's towing the lawnmowers behind it. He's like, I got to get it back out the door. You got to do that inspection for me today. I don't have the inspection. Well, why don't we tell you about that stuff beforehand, right? That's what we do.
I don't have to do that for you today. So.
That's right.
So in, what is this, 2019? So in 42 years or so, when the cars are actually flying, what new technology will you have devised for those flying cars? Have you guys started talking that far down the road yet?
I don't know about 42 years. I would say probably 15 to 20.
I
know. So what we're building right now is what I call the Caarmo Assurance Network, right? So
the SIN,
the CAAN as well.
Oh, okay.
Caarmo Automotive Assurance
gotcha.
Network.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, SIN. That's interesting.
I need your help. I'm sitting.
The whole idea is building a sort of a network of shops that you can rely and trust on because we hold them to a higher standard. And a lot of them want to do that because they want you to trust them. So we're in the process of building that out. We've started doing Raleigh. We're in the process of doing Durham. We're hoping in the next 12 to 18 months, we'll have most of the major cities in the United States covered.
All right. So I need you to step back for a second because we're about done here. I need you to step back. Stand up. Okay. So, folks, if you're around, so stand up.
Okay.
You need to put your shoe right there, okay?
You pick
if
it
you
up?
see, you pick it up. That's fine. If your young legs can't stretch that far. If you see this man in these blue suede shoes walking around town, this is Vinay. That's the only shoe he wears is blue suede shoes. So if you walk in somewhere and you see him, you say, hey, I listened to you the other day. I need help on my fleet vehicle. He's the only guy walking around town that's doing it right, that's wearing blue suede shoes. So Vinay, we appreciate having you on today. And don't forget to check us out next week at 11 o'clock here with another guest and a great small business success story to tell about Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.